Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So a few articles came out over the past week that we're going to be tackling today from new pieces of legislation making their way through the ranks that could affect number one, how ELP is enforced, and number two, how CDLs are issued. Thank you to Mike for sending me that article. And next, we're going to talk about a rumor that caused a social media storm, the Kenya-Nebraska deal. So let's go ahead and go through all of this. Ready? Let's go. So let's start with the legislation part of it. So to rewind, a little bit over a week ago, Ashley Moody of Florida introduced a new piece of legislation called the Safer Truckers Act. Now, this legislation, if passed, would add two additional requirements to CDL issuance standards. Requirement number one, if this legislation were to pass, CDLs would only be issued to U.S. citizens, permanent residents, green card holders, and those who have valid work visas or authorization from the USCIS, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Number two, if this were passed, then states would be required to report to the federal government on their effort to enforce ELP requirements. More specifically, and I quote this, by December 31st of each year, states will have to submit to the Secretary of Transportation a report describing the policies and actions of the state to uphold and enforce the English language proficiency requirement for drivers of commercial motor vehicles. And of course, if the two requirements were not met for any reason, the state would risk losing federal funding. Then, just this last week, Byron Donalds of Florida introduced another bill that would tackle the English language proficiency enforcement, and it was titled Way Station Enforcement to Intercept and Guard Highways. So, according to Overdrive, and I quote, if passed, this bill would codify and enforce the ELP executive order by requiring that all wait stations along interstate highways review the commercial driver's license of truckers for irregularities and verify the English language proficiency of truckers. And again, if this were to become law, and if every wait station had now a legal task to check the CDLs for irregularities and also perform ELP assessments, and they didn't do that, the state would risk losing federal funding as well as their CDL program authority. All right, next we have something that, again, there is so much backlash on social media right now, and that's the Kenya-Nebraska labor deal. A rumor started that Werner Enterprises, which is based in Nebraska, is planning to hire drivers from Kenya through a labor agreement. So we're going to go through a lot of these things, and I'm going to be posting here because we need receipts, right? How did the rumor start? Well, first of all, it started in 2024, where a news article was published in the Kenyan diaspora with a title that read, Kenyan Principal Secretary Rosaline Njogu, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing this name, it's just not my strong suit, seeks employment partnership for Kenyan truck drivers with Werner Enterprises in Nebraska, US. Now, according to this news story, which I'm going to, of course, post down below in case anybody is interested in digging further, there were a series of meetings which revolved around, and I quote, engaging Kenyan truck drivers overseas in the United States and support the Kenyan diaspora in securing more opportunities for employment and enterprise development. Now, right after that paragraph, it was stated, and I quote, the truck driver shortage is no secret. The article then went on to quote Secretary of State Bob Evnen saying, quoting, there are tens of thousands of truck driving jobs that are open at any given time. So how come something that happened in 2024, a year ago or so, is coming up right now? Well, because according to FreightWaves, a new news story was released on September 4th titled, American Official Hails Kenyan Talent Opens Path for Kenyans to Get Jobs in the United States. In that article, Bob Evnen was quoted saying, we have commercial truck drivers already who are being trained partially in Kenya, and then they complete their training in Nebraska. So clearly something is already happening, at least according to Bob Evnen. And then the article continues to say, again, this was published on September 4th. This initiative is in direct response to the pressing shortage of commercial drivers in the United States, particularly those operating tractor-trailer combinations. And then another article came out on September 8th of 2025 from Kenya Insights, and it was titled, "Kenya Secures American Jobs Deal for Truck Drivers Through Nebraska Partnership." Literally, the first sentence in this article is, "The deal signed on Tuesday between Rosaline Jigu and Robert Evnen specifically targets licensed commercial drivers amid a significant shortage of truck drivers across America." Okay, so now this is where the confusion comes in. Is it just a rumor, or are these facts? Is it real that they are trying to bring in talent into the trucking sector? Well, there are a lot of things being said, but first of all, Freightwaves stated, and I quote, "A spokeswoman for Evnen said in an email to Freightwaves that the MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, is stated in general terms and says nothing about truck drivers. The MOU requires full compliance with all Nebraska and federal laws, and that includes the president's executive order on CDL driver requirements and U.S. immigration law." So this was a statement from the spokeswoman of Bob Evnen. And then we have Werner Enterprises, which is facing a slew of backlash on social media. Now, Werner is based in Nebraska, and they actually just put out a statement this week, and they said on X, "Werner Enterprises wishes to clarify that we are not involved in any agreements or discussions regarding the recruitment of Kenyan truck drivers to the United States. Any claims suggesting otherwise are just false." And according to the news outlet Kenyans, this is the name of the news outlet, and I quote, "While the delegation met with Nebraska officials and made an appearance at Werner's headquarters, there was no formal announcement regarding recruitment or employment partnerships." So I'm not going to speculate. I like to have as many facts as possible before I come to a decision. That's just my personality. I wear suspenders with a belt, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts about these rumors. Number one, do you think Werner's statement is the truth? Do you think they have nothing to do with this and they just happened to be part of a meeting that happened in 2024? Number two, do you think Bob Evnen is telling the truth when saying that this is not specific to the trucking industry? For me personally, right now, it's very difficult to tell what is a rumor, what is factual, and whether this is all targeted towards the trucking industry because of the mythical driver shortage, or whether they're also looking to fill other sectors such as agriculture. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on it. Rumor or fact? Anyway, guys, wishing you a fantastic rest of your weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.